The show is 22 Now. He's
The
your
network
host.
is Area 22 Productions.
And he's your host, Mark Mendoza, everybody.
Well, thank you for that amazing intro, man. I feel like Johnny Carson now with Ed McMahon.
Hi-oh!
We got a special show tonight. We are going to be taking questions from you lovely people, the viewers.
Yeah.
I got the screen right here to see all the questions.
Okay.
Tune in.
I
I
have
need to
my
turn off
own
the microphone.
questions, too.
Ask away your questions, and we will ask our questions, and hopefully you guys will have a good damn time to do all this.
How do you feel about this?
I don't mind. I get interviewed all the time. More than I interview it these days. Whatever it is.
Because you're the king around here. Like, we look at you as, like, one of the legends in the game.
Like the Lion King, you were saying? Like the Lion King.
Like the Lion King.
Steven, how come I don't have anything yet?
This is the wrong video, I think.
Come on. I mean, I'm supposed to be live on TV. And
We're live. I'm viewing it. I think that's just the wrong video.
Try refreshing it.
I did.
Oh.
Just back.
Back out.
Back out?
Yeah.
I love how we're doing this live.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great.
Very professional, everybody. How you doing?
Hey, Jim. Hey, Mike.
I'm
Thanks
Nigel
for tuning
Fullerton. This is Stephen May.
And you guys just came off with your own show.
We just finished doing the Jump Cut.
Jump Cut.
Yeah. Where we review movies and geek culture, television shows. We watch this stuff so you don't have to.
Very explicitly.
That's very good.
We do.
That's a good
And if for the number one example of that being Murder Mystery.
Yeah, we watch a lot of bad movies as well as the good movies as well. We don't know if they're bad or good until we watch them, so we give you our opinion on it. We still having technical difficulties?
Yeah, I can't.
Want me to yank it up? Want me to yank it up?
What's that?
Want me to yank it up? See if I can grab it?
Yeah, well, I've been trying to grab it, and it won't be grabbed. It's not grabbable.
I got the questions right here, just in case. So
Let's move on then.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So we got a question from Michael Gassman. This is Mike from Tales from the Bottom of the Ocean.
Oh, okay.
Today they had a special episode of their show where they spoke D&D. And they did a whole Dungeons and Dragons episode.
Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah,
Exactly.
see? That's why you have to explain what it is.
I didn't move this up.
There's a lot of people out
Sorry for you hearing
there.
my
No
mic.
clue what D&D is.
All right, so what's the question, Steve?
Dunkin' Donuts?
Hold on, I'm getting this mic in here. All right, the mic is situated. Okay.
All right.
Who was your first girlfriend and how did it go down?
Wow, my first
Starting off
girlfriend.
strong.
Ooh.
Wow, I mean, that's so long ago, I don't think I remember. My first, what do you mean by girlfriend? Someone you just hold hands with, a kiss, a little touchy-feely? I mean, what's the first girlfriend? Like, what do you say?
Was it first base, second base,
Seventh
third?
base.
Which base is this one?
A home run, grand slam.
So, I guess...
We need clarification
How
on the
about
question.
this? How about a better question?
Is
Who was your first rock girlfriend?
Shoot.
rock girlfriend?
Yeah.
Wow.
Instead of saying groupie.
Let's see. I would say it. That's a tough one. I would say it would be a high school girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike says someone you banged.
A high school girlfriend. High school girl.
It was the 70s, free love.
Yeah, it was the 70s, actually.
See? I know the era.
Yes, I am that old. Yes, both of those answers are a high school girlfriend.
Okay. Any details you want to give on that? Not
I'm
giving
not
away
gonna
her
start
identity.
mentioning
Not
names or
No,
anything.
not her identity, but just.
Well, I have a question.
Was it,
Go ahead.
All right, so you told me a very amazing story about meeting Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
With the Rat Pack, the whole Rat Pack.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that I can talk about.
Okay. They're all dead, so it's okay.
My first
Wow,
time in
that's
Las
very
Vegas
optimistic.
was in the mid 70s. I want to say it was probably about 75 when I was in the Dictators. Got to Las Vegas, and of course Las Vegas wasn't at that time what it is now, the Strip.
Right.
All you had was downtown Las Vegas, and it did not have the cover over it. It was a real street. I can't remember the name of the street it's actually on.
Okay.
It's still there, but it's
Right.
it's a mall. It's a covered mall now where you can't drive on the street anymore.
Yeah, that's old Vegas, yeah.
Right, but that's downtown. That was Vegas. The only thing that was out in the desert that was built was the Sands Hotel at the time.
Okay.
So It was in the area of where the Strip is now. There was nothing around it. It was all desert, some ghost towns. And we took a ride over to the Sands because that's where we heard a lot of the entertainers hung out. Walk into the lobby, and there I remember walking into the lobby and walking right across in front of us, Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you're talking about these guys are Hollywood royalty. All these guys. And there was a bar off to the side, and we went in there, and there was Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra at the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, a typical thing. Both, at the times you could smoke indoors, and there was smoking cigarettes, and they had.
Of course, cancer wasn't a thing in the 70s.
No, absolutely not in the desert.
Not in the desert.
And we met them. It was nobody wanted to walk over and say hello to them. Everybody was very nervous about this. Not me. I walked right over, took the third stool, said, "Good afternoon, gentlemen," and they looked at me because of the way I looked. Like, who's this freak?
This was Dictators days, right?
Yeah, it's the Dictators. They had no idea who we were. Believe me, no idea. They knew we were like rock stars or something by the way we looked. And I had
So were they wearing like suits?
Yeah, they were regularly dressed suits, ties. The small ties, the style of the
Skinny
time.
tie,
and they are.
Okay.
We'll get to that next. It was incredible. Dean Martin was a little bit more friendly and jovial. Frank was not that he wasn't friendly.
I feel like he's a more serious kind of guy.
He was more serious. He also had like a pen and a pad in front of him, and he was writing things down. I think he was thinking about things to either say when he was on stage or in one of the shows that had up and coming and things like that. So that's when I met.
Hey Moose, hey Oliver, hey Michael, thanks for tuning in.
And later, when I left, and I said, "Hey, great, thanks guys," and I didn't ask him for. Nobody carried a cell phone then. There was no cell phone.
Of course.
So I didn't ask him for a picture. I didn't ask him for an autograph. But I'm a big fan, and they both thanked. Both shook my hand, and I walked away. And then Sammy Davis Jr. came to sit down with them, and I said hello to him, and he asked me who the guys were, who I was. I told him. He goes, "I'm sorry, I never heard of you." And he goes, and he looks up at me and he goes, "They make rock stars big these days." so I said, "Thank you." It was great. I mean, I told him, what a huge fan. What we all were. We grew up on those guys, and. That thank you for. I said to all of them, I said thank you for the entertainment and everything that you guys are to Hollywood and entertainment and everything else, and to singing, and those guys are some of the best.
Did you sing in front of them?
No, I wasn't.
Did you go from rags to riches?
I wasn't going to do the crooning in front of them, but it was pretty amazing. It really was. It was quite amazing meeting those guys.
Oh man, you have the best stories.
Yeah.
We have the question: what is the best song you love to play live?
Love to play live. Where with who?
I guess in general.
I mean, like that. I guess most people think of Twisted Sister.
There's no Twisted Sister, Animal Tactics, Dictators.
What was it? Name them all.
Well, Animal Tactics isn't fully ready to go yet, so I can't ask for that. And there will be favorite songs with that band, that's for sure. That's the new thing coming out. Favorite song to play. I hate to sound corny about it, but in TS. I love every song. I really do. Each song means a little bit different to me. It means something a little bit different because each song was written at a little bit of a different time. Some of them were written before I was in the band, like Under the Blade was actually a song before I was in the band.
Okay.
And Dee came up with that one, and an incredible song. But they all have a meaning. What the SMFs, the fans, the TS fans like in the song, they should like. And I believe that each of the guys in the band has their own ideas of the songs. I don't ever dislike any song. I think everything that pushes us along is a great thing. But as far as playing them, for different reasons, I never get tired of playing any single TS song ever. Whether it's "We're Not Going to Take It" or "I Want to Rock," which is our hits, or "The Price." "Burning Hell" is a great song to play. There's a lot to do on it.
Right.
"Can't Stop Rock and Roll" is an anthem in its own way. You can't. There is no ending to what I think of the songs. And of course, I was there when we recorded every single one.
All right.
I helped produce. Either I produced some of it myself, or co-produced, or engineered, or assisted engineered on every single album we've made. And so it's all dear to me. It's all very close. And Dee, of course, is a brilliant songwriter and an idea guy. Brilliant. So it as far as playing, and that's what the basis of the question was, I love playing them all. I really do. And they all mean something different, whether it's just as a song or a way to play something.
Well, I got a question. What's your favorite TS song?
My favorite TS song?
Yeah.
I feel like
Burning Hell.
I feel like just in general, I like Come Out and Play. I think it's a really underrated record.
His favorite is Come Out and Play. Mine is See No Evil. I don't know the real name.
That's Burning Hell.
That's Burning Hell?
Right. That's one of the chorus lines, See No Evil.
So that's my favorite. How do you feel about that one?
Well, that's what I just spoke about, Burning Hell.
Okay.
Well, do you feel like there's a TS song that doesn't get as much love as you would hope that it would? Like a song that you just think is really good.
I mean, if you want to go in that direction, there are a whole bunch of songs that never really got professionally recorded, and we didn't really put out. Although some of them recorded in some live conditions. I mean, there was songs when I joined the band the band was already playing, like a song called "Comeback."
Yeah.
You talk about, I mean, literally balls to the wall song. Wow. You know, powerful, big song. Another one called "You Know I Cry." These have been released as live entities. We never really officially recorded them at a studio thing. They're great songs in the club days. I think that they transcend the club days. I think that they're still great songs, and you never know. Right now, TS is retired. I mean, we certainly all talk and get together occasionally. But you never know when we ever decide to pick this stuff up and record it again in some time in the future. I have no idea. There's no talk. There's no plans.
Well, I guess if it's like a song that's already recorded.
What's that?
Like a song that I guess would be already recorded that I guess doesn't get as much love as you hope it would.
A song that's
already recorded and released on an album or whatnot.
That's a good question. Yeah.
That is a really good question. No, I you know, of course. Listen, the big album was Stay Hungry, you know, and everything on that album is huge. There's so many different, although we're considered a metal band, I think there's different types of music in there. I mean, I'm talking about different types of metal. I mean, you got everything from, you know, The Fire Still Burns and Burning Hell, you know, to like almost a pop rock song like We're Not Gonna Take It. You know, it's an anthem. But there's so many songs, and how do you say a song that's not that popular with the big fandom or whatever you want to call it? It doesn't mean it's not as good. It just doesn't mean as much to people as it would as a big hit. It's tough to say. I mean, I wish that a lot of things meant more to people, but your hardcore fans love everything. They really do. Right. And they probably, and Stephen, I think that you're an example of the fact that you like things before a band gets big.
Yeah.
You know, we definitely have our core fans that loved Come Out and Play, or more so maybe Under the Blade and Can't Stop Rock and Roll, because those were two albums that we did, and they were successful, but they weren't monster huge. And then came Stay Hungry, which was obviously the big one with the hits on it. Really tough to say, because although I was also, got to remember, I was a fan of the band before I was in the band. I used to go see TS in the clubs. When I'd come home from tour with the Dictators, I would go out to the clubs and see Twisted Sister before I knew the guys. Before I met them, we would go to see them. Not the guys in the Dictators, but me and my friends and I, all the musician guys, we'd go out and see Twisted. They put on a great show, and a very lively show in the clubs. One of the top bands in the clubs all the time, even before I was in the band. So that's a tough thing to say. I'd love to see everything well known and people love all the songs, but a song, whatever it means to you, however you feel about it, I know you're very good at it, especially Steven's very good at it. What a song means to him may not be the biggest song that a band put out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's a tough one.
We got more questions, if you're ready.
All right.
So this one comes from Moose, who's the bassist for my band. He's actually been wanting to ask you this question for a while. What's your
No, I don't give bass lessons.
That's actually another question he wanted to ask you, so we got that out there.
No, you can't have the toothpicks that become my bass.
What's your favorite bass brand and why?
Well, I'm endorsed by G&L. How can I say something else?
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, do you have a top 5?
What, top
for
5?
brands? So this way you don't breach anything.
Well,
I'm sure your number one would be G&L.
All right. We're going to be serious about it. I grew up on the fact that I played a Fender Precision since I started. that style bass guitar. Love Fender Precisions. To me, they're very easy to play. Most of the bass players that I grew up listening to or playing played a Fender Precision. I mean, you even know what a Fender Precision is. However, I was endorsed by G&L, which is Leo Fender's last company before he passed away. His wife still is on the board of the company, Leo Fender's wife. So that's kind of a Fender Precision on steroids because it's an active bass. The one that I use is active electronics, 2 pickups, where Fender Precision usually has 1 split P bass pickup. More questions?
No, I'm reading. There's a lot of stuff going here.
Oh wow, what's going on there?
There's another question here which I think I could answer, and I think you've answered on the air.
Okay.
What bass player makes you go wow?
You told us before.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a number.
Yeah.
I think I know the number one.
A huge number. It's a massive number. I have a lot of top guys, whether it's Doug Pennick, whether it's Billy Sheehan, whether it's Stu Hain. There are so many. Greg Ridley, Humble Pie. Nobody knows who he is. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. John Paul Jones.
There's this actually. I just wanted, for example, on Humble Pie. Mark showed us this video. It was a Honky Tonk Women by Humble Pie off of Eat It, right?
Yeah.
Incredible song if you want to see some incredible performance.
There's no live video of that on that album.
It's hard to find it.
Show.
So if you want to listen to it, I recommend going on Spotify or Tidal or Apple Music or one of those and listening to it on there because that's where you'll find it.
Yeah, if you're going to listen to that, Humble Pie does an amazing version of the Stones' Honky Tonk Woman.
Okay.
And Steve Marriott's also he's up there as far as one of my favorite vocalists, and he's not with us anymore either, with a shame. They do a version of, like I said, Honky Tonk Woman, a live version, not even studio, and it was off of an album, a double album called Eat It, Humble Pie Eat It, and I believe it was the last song on the 4th side. And it starts out with Steve Marriott singing the intro to the song, which a lot of people don't know that when he was growing up, he was a gospel singer.
Oh, wow.
British white guy is a gospel singer. And that's where he got the voice from. So, and we all know that gospel singers usually have some of the best voices in the world.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. And because he's a gospel singer.
Of course.
You sing?
But
I used to sing.
We got a feature on a song.
Oh, no,
we're going to
thank
have
you.
you sing right now.
Oh, no, thank
Sure
you.
you will.
I haven't done that in a very long time.
All right, Moose, you're in here. You're the other acting member of the band. Do you think Nigel should be featured on one of our songs? You're doing a talking
Aren't I
segment.
already on one of your songs?
You're not yet. We got to
Not yet,
record
but
you.
we're doing it.
We
So,
got to record
absolutely.
you.
It's
I'll get you next Wednesday with that.
All right, cool. No problem. So, but I have like one of my favorite movies.
Go ahead.
You're in, and I love the fact
Pee
that.
Wee Herman?
Oh yeah! Oh my God!
The first thing I knew Nigel would ask, and I mentioned to him when we were setting up the studio.
I was
Go
like,
ahead,
I will ask the people because when you told me that, I was like, you got to be kidding me because that's one of my favorite movies. They teach that in colleges now. I don't know.
Do
if
they
you
really?
Yeah, they do.
No, I didn't know that.
They teach that as
We were in a very small segment of the movie, though.
Yeah, I know.
They
but
taught me Juno.
I remember it.
What was that?
They taught me Juno.
I remember that so vividly when you said that, and like instantly my mind went to that scene. A lot of people don't remember that, but how was that whole?
It was like making other movies or videos. You sit around for most of the day doing nothing, and you're in front of the camera for 10 or 15 minutes. But it took all day to do it.
Was that your first movie, or
as a band? Yeah, the first time we were invited to a movie as a band. Do you remember what song we were playing?
the
was
same one
Burn in
I
Hell,
said
wasn't it?
before,
Right,
Burn in Hell,
Burn in
yeah.
Hell. Burn in Hell. We had to do the scene twice because the first time that we did the scene, it was actually the stuntmen had an accident and one of them got hurt.
Oh, wow.
So they had a not too badly.
Too bad, right.
But so we had to wait a little while and they had to get someone else in there, and that was the scene where Pee Wee was riding his bicycle through and they were chasing him with a dinosaur in a boat,
Yeah.
right? In a boat, and and that whole thing. It was very funny. I mean, it was funny hanging around with him because he had a regular voice. He wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did Pee Wee talk to you?
Yeah, we were at as we were waiting for things to happen. We're sitting in the catering area, sipping coffee, having a bite to eat, and he's right there with us in a regular way, paging Mr. Herman, paging Mr. That's what he sounded like.
That's the weirdest thing. Was he like on cocaine at the time?
No, I don't think so. Because I didn't notice it. I didn't think so.
Because I've sat down
What a wild fucking question.
Because you had but it's weird because you're sitting
if
down.
Asking me
did,
if he was
did his
lines,
snooter work? Did he snoot the poot?
Right.
Yeah,
right. If you're asking me if he was doing lines on the table in front of us, no.
I mean,
No, they were more rectangles.
Never too sure. It was the '80s. Number one. Number two, I find it wild that you guys were just sitting down, drinking coffee, eating craft services.
Yeah, everybody was sitting there either sipping water or having a cup of coffee because you're basically on break until they call you and they go, all right, we need you up in the camera sitting in the car. Remember, we were sitting in that convertible Cadillac. Right. We were sitting on the back and lip syncing Burning Hell to be in the movie.
Did he impress you or you impressed him, or was it?
I think he was a bit afraid of us at first. You got to remember, when the guys in TS are all big guys.
Right.
We're all tall except for AJ.
Yeah.
But he came around us and we got all the costumes and makeup on, and we're all like 6'4".
Right.
And I don't know how tall he is, but it's nowhere, probably half the size.
He's like my height?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was always looking up at us. I didn't want to be surrounded by you guys.
That's funny.
Yeah.
This reminds me of one time I was on a set and I was sitting with Paulie Shore.
Yeah.
at Craft Services, and me and my friends, and it was for BET. That's what made it weird.
Oh, okay.
And he's sitting down eating collard greens with us. And I'm not impressed by anything that he's done.
Really?
Have you seen Pauly Shore is Dead?
I'm like, no, I haven't seen that. But I'm just not impressed by anything. I was like, listen, people like you for what? Jury Duty, Son-in-Law. I said, you were in that movie with Kid and Play.
Yeah.
I said, that's where I respect you from.
Right.
So we got another question coming from the audience. We have a few actually.
Cool.
Some of these were answered, so I'm trying to touch upon the ones that weren't.
Sure.
What instruments did you learn how to play growing up, and how did you settle on the bass guitar?
Well, when I was in middle school, I think 7th grade or so.
How many centuries was that?
Yeah, I don't know.
16th century?
216 years ago or something.
So yeah, 16th century. My math's good. Quick maths.
For some reason, you had to be involved. I was already into music and playing.
Right.
But you had to be involved in the band in school for some reason because they didn't have enough kids. So don't ask me why. I picked up the clarinet. Okay, I was in it. I was in the band for about 4 weeks. I got thrown out because some kid who bothered me. I hit him with it.
Nice.
That was it. I was done.
Nice.
So you stuck the mouthpiece in his mouthpiece?
No, I just hit him across the head with it. Decided to head with it.
This is a reed.
Yeah.
Green sleeves.
You ever see the movie Coming at You?
That was quite the grand slam we got there.
Oh my goodness.
Bass guitar. Yeah, I started on actually playing guitar and bass at the same time. I still play guitar. However, every band I was in, there was no bass players around. Everybody was a guitar player. There was a bunch of drummers and some singers. Nobody played bass, and I realized that bass had more. It shook the ground. It had more of a statement, and I was able to be rougher on a bass than I can on a guitar.
I feel like a lot of people just completely underestimate the bass, because a bass guitar, if you have a really good tone, it can add so much to a mix.
Absolutely.
And people don't realize that. For my mixes, I'm a guitar player, primarily before I moved to vocals. So all my mixes start off with just guitar riffs. And one thing I learned as I started incorporating bass guitar is just how much it adds. It just adds so much balls to your music.
A bass guitar, and everybody's going to say, "Right, you're a bass player, so that's why you feel that way." Well, no,
I'm not a bass player. I'm a guitarist.
When I first started recording professionally, right around the time I joined the Dictators and a few other things, you walk in and guitars they would play through a Marshall amp or a Fender amp, and they would get tones that they like.
And they're really
the bass
bright.
had to go direct into a board with a compressor, and that was it. And it had whatever tone it came up with. So I remember the first time I did a professional recording, right before I was in the Dictators, we were recording some originals, actually some movie soundtrack stuff that never went anywhere. And I was playing, and the engineer said, as he adjusted the compressors and everything for me, we start recording, and he goes, well, wait a minute. You're hitting really a lot harder than you did when I did a sound check with you. And I said, yeah, well, it sounds better. He goes, yeah, it sounds better, but why are you hitting so hard? I said, because it sounds better, because the tone you have sucks.
It's aggressive, yeah.
Give me something to go on, Why is that a guitar player? And this isn't an excuse to use extra stuff, but a guitar player can use stomp boxes or sounds and make his guitar sound crunchy or do something, and a bass player has to be a Fender Precision with the volume and the treble up. That is the sign of a lazy, no good engineer.
That's
One thing
right.
actually,
All right? Without a doubt, because everybody does engineer bass. They just take the line out with a DI and they go into a board, or they go into a sound system, and that's what I like. Well, I'm not here to make you happy. I'm here to make me happy and deliver what I believe is the right thing.
I believe that's right, because I'm a tambourine player.
That's right.
And I respect the bass.
That's right. Tambourine and bass go together.
Exactly. You
right.
can't. That's like peanut butter and jelly.
it's like
right.
peanut butter and chocolate. No, but I gotta agree with that. Like when I was
It's like hot sauce and bananas.
Exactly.
if you hear a mix without a bass guitar, it's like it sounds hollow.
Well,
and like
interesting.
But one thing that before I met you, but what really got my attention to realize how beautiful of an instrument the bass guitar could be is from this band called Periphery, which are a modern progressive metal band.
I know who they are.
Their bassist Adam Nolly Getgood, who's the producer for the band, has such incredible bass tones that so the band plays on 8-string guitars at points, 6-string and drop G.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Really low, tuning
low
so low that you would think you don't need a bass guitar, and he just adds so much to the mix with the bass playing. And then I went and delved deeper into, because I listened to Stay Hungry, but when I listen to Still Hungry and I hear the extra oomph that you add into it, it's a noticeable upgrade.
There are so many, as time goes on or went on from the original, just plugging a precision bass into a console or a DI into a compressor into a console. There's so many guys that came up with so many unique sounds. Whether it was Jack Bruce in the early rock stuff, Jack Bruce or Felix Pappalardi from Mountain, James Jamerson, with Stevie Wonder is probably one of the best in the world ever for feel, and the way he thumped on a bass was amazing. But then you go through time, you get a guy like Stu Haim has such an unbelievable unique sound that you don't even need to see him, it's him. And then you go further and you get Billy Sheehan, and when you hear Billy Sheehan on bass, he's got one of the most unique rock bass sounds ever. And then you go to other stuff like Stanley Clarke and Doug Pennick. Those guys have just incredible bass sounds and make it so unique that it's theirs. There's so much more than just what a rock band has to put in bass, and I say that because I've always seen the rock bands, especially in the 80s, engineers and producers, they go, now we don't have to spend time on this, we just plug it in and let it go, where they would spend a lot of time on guitars and drums and vocals, and you got such weak bass, and there's probably a lot of people out there that are going to argue with me, but I've been doing this a long time, so.
Well, especially your music was all East Standard, right? In TS?
A440.
A440?
Yeah, A440. Yeah, we it was only until we did the re-record of Stay Hungry called Still Hungry that we actually dropped one step, half a step down. Okay.
So you went. So what? E flat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually, that's really cool because I think guitars are like some of the simpler instruments to mix. If you're if you assume you get the mic placements right and the blend, in the actual mixing process, the EQ and everything, I think bass requires more attention. The bass set 4K for
I'm going to skip a lot of stuff because we can't go on for hours about this. But no, this is an important thing. When we came up with, and this is the musicians who we're going to hear this.
Yeah.
When we decided to do Still Hungry, we actually used, for guitars, we used whatever the guys were playing, Les Pauls or Jackson for Eddie Ojeda or whatever he was using at the time, into a pedal and then into a Marshall head. When it came time to do the Christmas album, and this you're talking about years ago already when we came out with the Christmas album, the big difference was that Eddie came to me, Eddie Ojeda, and I give him credit for this, a lot of credit. He came to me and said, try this, what I'm working on, and I'll say what it is, but try this before we go through heads and speaker cabinets and microphones and everything. And he came in with, at the time, was a Line 6 kidney-shaped pod, a guitar modeling pod, and he worked on it really well, and he came up with great tones. So when we did the Christmas album, the Twisted Christmas, we never used myself included, I used something else. We never used an amplifier and a microphone to record the guitars or the bass.
Wow.
It was all modeling and some stomp boxes and things like that. So there was I never plugged into an amp on that album. I never used an amplifier. I went right out of, I had like 4 lines of the bass, and we had various things going on. And same thing with the guitars. Both JJ and Eddie used pods on that album, which, again, I didn't think we needed it. I thought we were a Marshall band, and we still are live. It's all Marshall amps, with pods feeding them, or something more recent, Kempner's,
That's cool.
It's amazing with the electronics. And I'm not talking this is recent. The Christmas album is already quite a few years old. But
It came out 2012?
20, I think it was before that, too.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what comes down in the electronics of it all. And I didn't know this was going to turn into like something about. I don't mind.
They made it.
Hey, Eddie, thanks for tuning in.
Steven, let's go.
I wanted to hear stories about, because I know that you were the non-married guy in the group.
Right.
So I wanted to hear like a really, really good
I
groupie
just
story.
Well, I had the
This
last
is a family show.
I mean, it could be
This is a
PG-13.
family show.
I had the last production question, just like a one sentence thing.
We'll get to that.
Do you use dark glass, and what do you think of dark glass electronics, if you're familiar?
I don't particularly use dark glass. I think it's a great program. I think it's great stuff.
Well, the physical components too, like the pedals and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's great what they come up with. I don't have a lot of experience with it. I have some. I've tried the stuff. I think it's great. I haven't found a reason to use it yet. I don't have that much experience on it. I'm sure as time goes on, you add a lot of things. I mean, as a bass player, and is this person asking as a bass player?
Yeah.
Okay. So as a bass player, I keep it. I for what I do and just about everything I do.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
My pedal board has a few things on it, and it's not even a pedal board in front of me. It's usually behind me on top of my amp, and I rarely have to touch it. It's for a constant sound, and mostly I change the sounds by adjusting what's on my guitar or where my hands are. But that's great stuff. It's amazing that he brought that up.
So I just want to thank Eddie Ojeda for tuning in. And looks like we touched a lot of these questions are repeats of what we already asked. So anything you want to go with, Nigel?
Oh, no, I want to hear
Go
this.
ahead.
I wanna
we
hear
have a
good
question.
movie story.
We have a question that says we have 2 questions if you want to
Okay.
answer either of
Go
them. What's the craziest story you've got from life on the road?
Oh.
Or how often do you get recognized on the street or outside of gigs?
Okay, the second one first.
Got it.
Often, just about anywhere.
Okay.
Often, just about anywhere. I get recognized all the time, everywhere. And depending
Hey, Gary
on the
Tosh,
situation,
thanks for tuning in.
What's that?
I just want to say hey to Gary Tosh, thanks for tuning in.
Gary Tosh, my cousin. Guy, how is everything? Got to talk to you soon. All is good here.
Eddie said we use Line 6 live pedal board for the Christmas CD.
Yes.
Yeah, then Mark
what I said.
addressed that, yeah.
Right. And all the credit goes to Eddie for the tones. He came up with great tones. He's very good at it.
Shout out to Eddie.
Yes, shout out to Eddie. As far as getting recognized, I get recognized often. Sometimes not in the best situation. Sometimes people aren't nice about it. And I've had to manipulate situations and people out of the way. Not that I like to. I really don't.
Right.
I really don't. I mean, I appreciate fans, but sometimes you got to be respectful for where someone is. I mean, I was out with my family having a holiday dinner, and a drunk got in the way, and I had to remove him.
Oh, wow.
I don't like doing that. I don't want to be rough to fans. I appreciate fans.
Yeah.
I have everything in my life because of the fans that like Twisted Sister, but sometimes you have to give someone a little room, especially when they're out with their family. If I'm at a gig, or I'm out in real public, okay, I get it, but I'm at a private place having a holiday dinner with my family, and this guy's drunk and gets in the way. So he probably knows who he is, and he suffered for it.
Yeah, I mean, they don't call him the animal for no reason. So.
Exactly. What was the other question?
What's the craziest story you've got from life on the road? And I know you addressed quite a bit of these on the Joe Gerber episode. From the Crystal Dick to...
There is certain things
I remember the Crystal Dick.
There are certain things that I've done, especially back in the Dictator days, that I'm sure there's no statute of limitations on.
Yeah.
I would not say all of that.
You don't have to
Some
say
of it is-
names.
Some of it is still a mystery to the people are involved for the sections of the country or world that I was in.
Oh my God.
Crazy stuff. It was a crazy existence. The Dictators toured with some of the biggest acts at the time, with Kiss, ZZ Top, Bob Seger, Blue Oyster Cult, Alice Cooper. I mean, the names are endless, and not that Twisted did. I'm not leaving TS out of anything, but those were crazy days. Rock and roll in the 70s was pretty new, and the story of Led Zeppelin wrecking the 13th floor in a hotel, we were there a few days later after it was wrecked.
Wow.
And it was for real, and you could find it, not like we believe everything on the internet, as the commercial says, but it was a place called Swingo's Celebrity Inn in Cleveland, Ohio, and that's where all that stuff happened, with John Bonham threw a television with extension cords into a pool and all that stuff, and drove a car into a pool, and it was Swingo's Celebrity Inn in Cleveland, Ohio, and we were there only a few days after it, and the 13th floor was closed off, but of course
how much was their insurance premium?
Oh
my God.
Whatever show they headlined in Cleveland for a few days in a row went to rebuilding that hotel.
Oh my God, it sounds like Tales from the Crypt over there.
It was worse than Tales from the Crypt. But there was a lot of crazy stuff, especially in the early days of touring, and the Dictators and some stuff. But by the time it got to Twisted, it was more business-like.
Right.
We were more responsible than we were in the Dictators. I did some crazy things in the Dictators.
But speaking of all that, the people that you named, who were you most impressed by, and who were you most I don't really like this guy too much?
As far as what?
As far as the celebrities you met, or anybody else that you were you really wanted to meet, and somebody that really impressed you, and somebody that you were just disinterested.
I don't like to say anything bad about it.
Okay.
I really don't.
That's fair.
I have definitely run into some peers of mine that were asses, and some heroes of mine that were asses that I grew up listening to. One that I always appreciated because he was one of my guitar heroes growing up, and I eventually actually played with him for a couple of summers in a row, was Leslie West of Mountain.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. One of my all-time favorite guitar players. I grew up on Mountain and that whole genre of music, Jimi Hendrix and Cream and Cactus and all the bands coming out, and early Led Zeppelin at the time. But I got to meet and become close friends with Leslie West.
Oh, wow.
And one of the most impressive people I've ever met in the music industry. One of the most soulful players and singers ever. I think he is so underrated, and so just underrated for his talents and what he is like, and what a great guy he is, and a great guitar player. But Leslie West is up there on top of my list. The guys in Iron Maiden, I think they're great guys. We had a lot of fun touring with Iron Maiden when we opened up for them. A lot of fun. One of the highest on the list is Motorhead and Lemmy.
Motorhead. I got to get you.
Lemmy's a nasty
If it wasn't
player.
for Lemmy, we wouldn't have had a good time our first time on stage at a festival in England. He brought us out on stage and explained basically to the audience that these are good friends of mine, and you're going to respect them. And of course the audience listened to him because he's got it at the metal festivals. Lemmy was a great supporter of TS, very influential in what we've done and how we've been in the business. So Lemmy was a great guy. So
awesome.
that tells you the good parts. And there's other people too. I'm leaving out a lot of good ones, but I don't like the bad rap people.
I know.
I've met some people where I'll go, I'll never buy anything by him again.
Like me.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're no longer with us, you can be like, hey.
Well, no, I'm not going to even.
No, because that's been their families.
Okay, good. You're right.
I'm not going to say anything bad about people. But you meet people in the industry. You're just not in who I was a big fan of, even a peer of mine at same time band.
Right.
And you meet these guys, and some people just act like real asses.
Yeah.
And I can say that I have cornered people that have done that.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I slammed the door shut on one person and said, "Now it's you and I in the room, so you're going to man up on this one, aren't you?"
Yeah.
He was practically crying in the corner. "I'm really sorry, man. I didn't mean to. It's just a persona I have." Yeah, well, not with me.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's why they call him the animal.
Okay, next.
All right.
What we got?
So let's see. What's the question? I'm just trying to read these.
He doesn't have his glasses on.
No.
Mine?
Nowadays, most kids listen to rap music and pop, and I hate to say it, but rock music just isn't what it used to be. I was wondering what you think contributed to that, and why kids and teens don't listen to rock music much anymore. Really, I'm just wondering. Really, I'm just wondering what contributed to the decline of rock music.
That's interesting because the biggest festivals in the world are rock music. Not necessarily so in this country, but in Europe and South America, more people attend a rock festival than anything else. So I don't know.
I feel like they have a more dedicated audience.
Music, though. It's all music out of the U.S. A lot of people, it doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
A lot they're more into music than we are in the United States.
Right. The rest of the world is more dedicated, whereas I would say, listen, I'm not putting down this country. I mean, that absolutely
We're not. No.
We're talking about hardcore facts.
Right.
That most people are not dedicated to the music that they like in this country, especially younger people. It's a fad, just like a pair of sneakers.
Right.
Nike's are big now.
Yeah.
Before that it was Reeboks.
Right.
So they follow the fads, and it's not necessarily so that that the music is bad. I happen to like hip hop and a lot of rap.
But I don't think it's all rap, though. I think it's popular music. What's popular.
Yeah, popular
it's not
music.
Rap, hip hop, rock, whatever. It's pop music.
As time went on,
Pop is now sad. Like, it's really interesting because like now like a lot of depressed musical themes are being explored in pop.
Go back in time and think of when all the music in the 50s hit.
Right.
Whether it was I don't care what genre it was.
Top 40.
The top 40, whatever it was. My parents didn't understand it.
Right.
They came from the big band era, swing music and jazz, and now they're hearing Chuck Berry and Little Richard
Chucky B.
and Jerry Lee Lewis. And they're going, what is this? And again, I wasn't even born yet. You're talking. That's how long ago it was.
It was a town called Footloose.
Exactly, a town called Footloose. So I think that every generation that comes up has their music, and it doesn't necessarily say that what's before it died, because it didn't. 50s, when the 60s came and the 70s, 50s music was still huge.
Right.
Tremendous. And that's when rock and roll started. And that's where it all came from. I mean, there's often stories about, all right, who's the grandfather of rock and roll? Who are the grandfathers? Because there's a number of them. There's a number of them. I mean, to me, you can't leave out like Chuck Berry. You can't leave out Little Richard. You can't leave out Jerry Lee Lewis. You got to include Elvis Presley, even though he was a little bit later in time. There's so many that are based for what we call rock music today. And then you go into hip hop and rap, and you look at where they get their stuff from, which was at the time soul music or disco and things like that. So if you sit back and you look at the whole music scene and what's happened over time, well, it changes. It changes with every generation. I mean, obviously, what you like in music is different from what I like. However, I appreciate the stuff that you listen to.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you listen to and what you make as well.
Absolutely.
It's like...
But we have, in the States here, we have a very disposable society.
We do.
And things are easily replaced with something newer. There's not a lot of dedication in music.
I still won't forget when I was in, when and we have a question for actually Eddie O in a second, but I remember back when I was in summer camp, there's this Katy Perry song that came out, and back then I listened to it mainly like metal, but I had like some pop stuff I listened to here and there. And I remember I was listening to this song about maybe a month after it came out, and some kid said to me, he's like, "Why are you listening to that song? It's so old." And I'm like, I didn't know music has an expiration date.
Because it's disposable music.
It doesn't. Music is subjective. It's whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you feel good, or gives you emotion. I mean, you usually get an emotion out of music, whether it's to dance, whether it's to sing, whether it's just to tap your foot or.
But I feel that the music that's popular now is disposable, meaning that in a couple years we're not going to remember this stuff. We'll remember a song that you did in probably 1980 more than we will remember anything that's happening right now.
Right, of course, but look at beyond. What's more disposable than music? Movies. Some amazing movie that comes out and is an amazing feature and blows everything out of the water, and yet in 2 years you never hear of it.
Never hear it.
But there's some music. Well, some music becomes what they call classic. Like T.S. has become classic rock, even though classic rock was around before T.S. was big.
Right.
Led Zeppelin and Steve Miller and the Beatles and Rolling Stones and everything that came out in those genres of music. But we're now known as a classic rock band because when we were still playing, people wanted to hear what they grew up on. People wanted to hear all the big hits and all the songs that they remember.
And also, I
growing
think
up on.
that isn't the rule like 25 years or more is like when a band becomes considered classic?
Yes and no. I think there's no hard, steadfast facts on that.
I think that's for the Hall of Fame.
That's for the Hall of Fame,
yeah,
by
for the
here.
Hall of Fame, but I think it's what the public perceives it as.
Right.
And if you grew up on something and it meant something to you, and then you hand it over to your kids, because when we play, especially in Europe, the age difference in the audience is tremendous.
Right.
You're getting everything from young teens to people in their 60s out there rocking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. We'll notice it. It's absolutely amazing.
That's cool.
Because I was actually going to ask you that question. Whereas your fan base, when you were talking about your fans, and I
Right.
said, what's the age range that you normally see?
Especially in Europe.
In
And
Europe,
same
it's
thing
probably
here.
different, yeah.
You know, same thing here when we've headlined a couple of really big festivals here, like Rocklahoma. You see a lot of people in their 30s and 40s
Right.
and 50s, but then you look and you see younger kids who
Right.
just got TS shirts on, or they got an AC/DC shirt on, or a Metallica shirt. I mean, teenage kids.
Right.
You know, so, and then you see a geriatric squad over on the side who are coming in with their walkers and wheelchairs and everything. And no, I'm not kidding you. They show up, and it's great to see that. It transcends a lot of things, and it's very universal to people. The songs in our music has been an inspiration to people to get through bad times and bad illnesses
Right.
and things like that. So it makes you feel good when you hear that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Eddie O asked, are you still friends with Handsome Dick Manitoba?
No.
There you go.
The only comment I'm going to make on it.
I'm not friends with anybody named Handsome Dick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ladies
Nigel, we
and
did a show
gentlemen.
together.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I don't go that way.
Well, there goes my heart being broken.
Oh, man. Any other questions?
No, we're actually, a lot of them, like I said, are repeats.
Repeats?
Yeah. But
You have anything?
a lot of mine were production related, and I think people are like tired of that stuff.
We don't want... Who, me?
You've got to have some more.
Of course I have.
What do you mean? Yeah, I'm a young kid. I want to ask him about how he gets his tones, those fat tones.
All right. We do a show called The Jump Cut.
Yes, you do. It's a great show.
What is one of your favorite movies?
I have various favorite movies for various times in my life.
Okay.
Not saying anything was bad, because
Right.
I led a very colorful life. I've done a lot, toured the world, been in some great bands. You know, whether it was starting with the Dictators, even the band that I was in before the Dictators, a club band, was a lot of fun. I was playing with great guys. The Dictators, Twisted, Blackfoot. And now it'll be Animal Tactics. I was lucky to be in great bands with great people. So I led a colorful life, without a doubt, in the music industry and outside the music industry also. I can't say it's bad. But getting back to what it was, music transcends a lot of things, and it means a lot of different things for people. And some of my favorite movies, and I equate it to music again. I'm trying to keep it on that subject.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite movies are something that means something to me growing up. Recent times, more recent times, I haven't been able to watch too many movies, but things that meant a lot to me.
We did discuss the Adam Sandler movie in the conference room.
Right, the Netflix.
Yeah.
Which one was it? Murder Mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't too happy with that.
Yeah.
I know how I
I
felt.
watched it because somebody said, "Hey, watch it," and
It wasn't me.
no, it wasn't.
Nigel recommended that movie to me to watch.
No, I just said, let's watch it.
But
Yeah.
going back to some of my favorite movies, all right. One of the early influences on me in some of the movies that I've seen aren't necessarily like rated as great movies.
That's
but
okay.
When I was
Same.
growing up, of
Same with
course, I
music.
liked. I still do. I always had and liked and built hot rod cars and motorcycles. And one of the first real across the country chase movies was the original Vanishing Point that I think came out in 1972.
We got to watch
Okay?
this one.
Vanishing Point, a real B-rated movie about a guy who has to deliver a car from,
Okay.
I believe, someplace in Colorado to Frisco, California.
Okay.
And the movie was based loosely on a real event with a teenager that stole a car, and they chased him across states
Wow.
because you have the technology and the amount of police out
Smokey
there to
and
catch him.
Bandit.
Yeah, well, I don't think it really turned out like Smokey and the Bandit. But what got me about Vanishing Point was I always had an attraction for the southwestern part of the country, and when I saw the movie, it depicted what the Southwest was like. You know, wide open spaces, wide open roads, you know, the desert. Just unique people you run into. And when I finally got into the Dictators and toured,
Right.
I saw some of those places where the movie was filmed in Colorado
Wow.
and Utah and California. You know, I'd never been to these places before,
Right.
but actually looked for it and went
There you
through
go.
towns that looked like the
mic
town
dropped.
that the movie was kind of loosely based out of, where the I don't want to get into explaining the whole
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
where the Cleveland Little was the DJ.
Cleveland Little, okay.
Yeah, and he was a blind DJ.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing. What an amazing part he played. Incredible part. Which you should see the movie.
I gotta see it
for
now.
that alone.
Yeah.
And so I actually went through that
Hello,
town. and that was a
Joanna
real town.
Honing. Thanks
The
for
movie
tuning
had
in.
no budget, so
Right.
they couldn't make a town.
Oh,
they had
wow.
to find some place that looked
Yeah.
like that. So you know, the movie had a lot of little trivia stuff in it, and that was one of my favorite movies that just comes through time. You know, I have to include this because it means a lot to my family. The movie Patton, because
Okay.
my father was a bastard of Bastogne in World War II.
wow.
So you know that movie meant a lot to me. There's a lot of movies that I like. I mean, I happen to like, which was very entertaining to me, Crank.
Yeah.
You know,
Jason
just the
Statham.
first one.
Yeah.
You know,
first
Crank
one.
2 was something.
D. Snyder's a movie buff, and he usually sends me a text or gives me a call and says, "You have to see this movie, or you
Yeah.
have to watch this." And he's always right because he knows
Yeah.
my tastes in things. So, but there's dozens of movies. There's so many movies. Pulp Fiction.
I mean, you recommended us to watch True Romance.
Oh, True Romance.
I've never
One of my-
seen it, and when I
one of
saw
my
it, I
top
had a good
movies, you know
time.
True
Yeah,
Romance,
True
right?
Romance, yeah.
One of my
We reviewed
top
it on the Jump
movies-
Cut.
one of my top movies, and that was a fluke how I watched it. I don't want to get into.
You're right, that's
I
okay.
didn't know I was watching it. I thought I
Thought
was
it was
watching
a
a romance,
romantic- yeah.
romance thing, and that movie was to me amazing. The star lineup in that movie, the star power, and every scene was crazier than the one before. And of course, it's I believe that was written by,
Quentin Tarantino.
but not directed by.
Not directed by
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
no.
So,
But it did have that wacky style despite not being directed by him.
well, you know, it's again, movies are subjective. I mean, there's things that other people love and I see, and I can't believe it. I wouldn't watch this. You know, But again, it's like music. It's subjective. It doesn't mean it sucks.
Right.
It just means it
It's
doesn't
not
do
for
anything
you.
for me. It doesn't. I mean, you have a pretty solid line of what's entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, I find some things on Netflix. Why would they do this? But then there's certain shows that I found, and you guys actually reviewed a particular show that really hit me hard, and I think it's an important show to watch. You know, was 7 Seconds.
7 seconds.
I think it was brilliantly written. I think it was brilliantly acted, and the whole thing was portrayed amazingly. And at times it moved slow on purpose,
Right.
and at times it moved fast. It had really great character development in it, and in the end of all, music or movies or something like that, you'd have to give you a message. It has to be entertaining,
Right.
You know, and that, just like the movies I mentioned, had messages in them, and also they were entertaining. You know, it's all entertainment. That's what it's about. I mean, we're all entertainers. If you don't get up and satisfy an audience when you're doing a stand-up, you're not entertaining.
Exactly.
Exactly. So that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but you know, again, on our show, The Jump Cut, we talk about movies, geek culture. We talk about superheroes, and what I found out is that you actually do like some of the superhero movies.
Yeah, sure.
And you used to read comic books when you were younger.
Yeah, it was comic
Right?
books, sure.
So, if you were to put yourself in an Avengers movie, you could be any superhero you wanted to be. Who would you be?
Who do you think I would be? You take a guess. Who would you think I would be? I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. Come on, you're an expert.
I kind of know the answer.
Go.
But I'll say the Hulk, but I really want you to play Iron Man.
I like Hulk, but I would have picked the Iron Man.
Ooh.
Yes, I do like Hulk. I do. I really do. But I would have picked Iron Man.
So
The technology.
why would you pick
The
technology?
technology.
Okay.
The technology and what he can do with it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you think? Is that good?
Is that good? We're
Yeah.
talking to Robert Downey Jr. over here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could do a stellar Batman.
You think I could star in Batman?
Yeah, you could be a stellar Batman.
A stellar Batman.
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Miguel says he thinks you'd be a good Hulk, and actually he has a question.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess this is for like all of us.
Go ahead.
What do you think about Quentin Tarantino directing an R-rated Star Trek movie?
Ooh.
R-rated Star Trek?
Yeah. Heard
Is
about
that Picard?
It's not happening yet. No, it's not Picard. It's not happening yet, but it's been rumored that Quentin Tarantino said that he wanted to direct a Star Trek movie, but he wanted to make it R-rated.
Why?
Just because he wanted to be like grittier and
Grittier,
like his version of a movie.
You are a Star Trek fan to begin with, right?
I like Star Trek, yeah, I do. I'm not a fanatic,
Do you
but
prefer it over Star Wars?
they're both very different for me. I do
That's the
like
answer.
different.
That's
Yeah,
the
they are
answer.
different.
Because
they are very
it's
different.
like
very different.
that
Mean
debate
different
is as fueled with fire as Stones versus Beatles.
But I think it's because people don't know any better.
Yeah.
What really entertains someone better? I mean, some people really like Star Trek better than Star Wars and vice versa.
Right.
I happen to find that the way I look at something is more all-encompassing, and it happens to entertain me.
Right.
I grew up on, of course, the original Star Trek.
Right.
When it was just a series you watched all the time on TV, and that's still the infamous Star Trek, the original. As they came out with different series like Next Gen or
There's Next Generation. There's Enterprise, Voyager,
Enterprise, and what's
the new one that's out now.
Not next. What's the one that they live on? The space station?
I don't
Deep
know.
Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine. Okay, so
This is why he's my co-host, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
tried, people.
Deep
I've
Space
never
Nine.
seen any of these, shows.
I mean, if you ask me all about it, and I'm not an expert on the Star Trek movies.
Have
I
you
know
seen the
some
new
of them.
ones?
What's it? No, I haven't seen the last two.
Me either.
I'd like to.
What do you
I just
think?
haven't had a
Have you
chance.
seen any of the new ones?
No.
The one with.
You're talking about the new movies.
Yeah, they did 3.
I've seen them.
No.
I've
seen
seen
those?
them.
Okay.
Are you a Star Trekkie?
I'm not a Star Trek fan, but I
Star Wars?
Star Wars more than Star Trek. But
I feel like Star Wars is more accessible just because it's movies.
I like the first Star Trek movie though. I thought that
Yes.
it was good. The first one that they
I like
did.
the first and third.
You know what's interesting?
See, what's happening here is you're getting different opinions about the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Star Trek now, real quickly, and we won't harp
Right.
on it for
Yeah,
long.
sure.
But Star Trek, what did it mean to me? Well, I was a child when I used to watch Star
Right.
Trek, the original. Okay, so when they came out with all the
Sorry, we got another question lined up.
Okay, so when they came out with all the series, nothing really made anything to me. It didn't really do anything for me, but Voyager did.
Voyager did.
The Voyager. And the reason Voyager got to me is because someone who is a big Trekkie explained to me what was going on.
Okay.
So I came in the middle, so I watched it from the beginning, and I said, okay, there's a purpose to this one. They're always trying to get home.
Okay.
So anybody who knows it well knows.
See, I was-
and they get off of it sometimes, and there's all kinds of
Right.
goofy things happening, and not every episode was good, but they had a common theme: is they were always trying to get home.
I never knew that. I
Yeah,
was more
yeah.
of a Next Generation guy.
Yeah,
So-
I like some of it, and
Yeah.
again, I like some Deep Space Nine. I'm not a fanatic for any of that stuff.
Me either.
But I'll tell you what. I remember when the first Star Wars came out in 1977.
Oh, wow.
I was in Europe. I was actually in England.
Okay.
In when it got released.
That was the Night of the Two
in
Moons?
London. Yeah, no,
Night of the
that's
Two
in,
Moons.
that's in Paris. That's in France.
That's in France? I thought that was in London.
No, it's in the Two Moons you're talking
Yeah.
about. No, that's a whole nother story. And that was,
I'm pretty sure
it wasn't even in Paris.
I
It
think you
was
spoke
in
about that on
Clisson.
Russell's episode, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Russell's episode. But talking about Star Wars, my drummer in the Dictators, Richie Teeter, God rest his soul, but a great guy and a great drummer. He liked science fiction also. He was an original Trekkie and everything, and he said to me, Star Wars just got released. I mean, it was
Right.
out for 2 days, and he goes, come on, we're off. We got nothing to do tomorrow. Let's go to the matinee. So here we are. It's noon. We're in London someplace. There's about 40 people in the movie theater
Right.
for Star Wars. And it came on, and you know what it looked like in those
Scroll
opening
down,
scenes,
yeah.
the big fighting and everything scrolling. It was like, well, that was when the technology made, in making movies and special effects
Yeah.
took that big leap. And that was incredible. It was just amazing. It blew me away. And that's what hooked me on Star Wars. You'll see that now. But
Even looking
how
at it
much-
with a modern perspective, if you think about like the practical effects they had to use, like Matt Newhall on the show The Technocrat, he discusses how they had to transfer messages on physical hard drives.
Sure,
Right.
absolutely.
And we kind of me and him spoke about it. He wasn't sure if it's if it was like a smart move that they did, saying that they could be hacked, or if it was just because they didn't have the budget or like
Right.
the writing power.
Right. And who knows, right?
So yeah.
We're not part of that, but to see the technology, and now you get to now, and I think that we discussed something either last week or the week before, and I had asked you guys about a movie that I saw like 3 minutes of and was interested in, not knowing whether it was good or not. It was the movie with Dwayne Johnson.
Okay.
Oh, Rampage.
Right, Rampage.
Oh, God.
So, did you see it?
No.
You
No,
wouldn't
I haven't
see
seen
it.
it. I wouldn't see it.
Why?
I tuned out after 30 minutes.
2 reasons. I'm not a fan of video game movies based on video games.
I think so. All right.
Okay.
You can't. It's like how Battleship's a video game movie, you know? Because like Rampage didn't really have a story. They just kind of gave it a story.
Right. They gave it a story. It basically it was an arcade game about.
So, what if you didn't know it was an arcade game and you just watched the movie?
I mean, it's like not knowing the Super Mario Bros. Movie was a game. And
but
you watched
the
the movie.
second, but my second
Or Mortal
reason for
Kombat.
not watching it is because
It looks bad.
The Rock has been on a string of movies that I'm like, listen, I can't watch this. Whereas he was in this movie called Skyscraper, where it was him against the building, like he had to defend the
Well, he's
building.
big enough and strong enough
Right.
to move a building.
Yeah, but this is him being big enough and strong enough to go fight a gorilla and a dragon and
a mechanical
and
dog.
a mechanical dog.
That's what part of the movie I saw.
You know.
So we got.
Yeah, but it's fantasy. I mean, it's just like every other thing you watch with science fiction.
That's true, but like I just had a feeling that it was going to be bad.
And it
you
was.
wouldn't even give it a chance.
I wouldn't give it a chance.
Are
I'll
you
try.
not a Dwayne Johnson fan?
I am. I love him.
Okay.
But I just
He
did.
told me he loves you too.
Of course, we're going to Hawaii together.
They'll make some beautiful babies together.
Yeah. Polynesian cocoa butter.
We got a couple of
Oh
questions.
yeah, I saw that.
We have. Are you familiar with Joanna Honig?
Yes.
She asks. She says, "Ask Mark if he remembers driving with me and Ann in my Plymouth Fury, and he proceeded to take all the knobs off of everything in my car. LOL. As I'm driving and trying to throw my car in park."
It's pretty accurate.
Next question.
Okay.
Miguel Vargas asks, "What if Mark was a cartoon? What cartoon would he be?"
Ooh.
All right, guys. What cartoon would I be? Okay, so let me start this, okay, by saying there was one. What's that?
You're already a
Yeah, I'm already a cartoon. Let me preface this by one day I did an interview that was very good. It was a long time ago, early TS days, I think, when in the early '80s, and the interview was very good and asked a lot of good questions. Not like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite band? You know, why is the band called Twisters? A lot of good stuff. And at the end, he says to me, he goes, "I got one more question. If you could be anybody else in entertainment, who would you be?" And I said, I have 2 answers for that one.
Okay.
Okay, 2 answers, distinct 2 answers. I said, Dirty Harry Callahan or Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny.
They both had a great time.
Hey, Caitlin, thanks
Oh
for
my
tuning
God.
in.
Yeah, all right, how's that?
That's funny.
Dirty Harry
So
Callahan.
he would be Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny, the big old bugs.
Well, I mean, you guys, what cartoon?
Who would you make him?
Fuck.
Come on.
I'm thinking. I thought Grug. Are you familiar with that kind of Grug type
No.
now? All right, let's see.
Who's that?
What can I think? I'm trying to think about
no
who.
idea what that is. I have no idea.
It's like, I guess, a D&D type character.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I'm not familiar.
Lost on me.
Dunkin'
I don't know.
Donuts.
You say something, and I got to think.
All right, so what cartoon character?
What cartoon? I would like to see you as the white Fat Albert. Like I would love that. See, he has it.
You do it better than I do. There you go.
Yeah, I would no. Seriously, I would like to see you as Mr. Wilson to Dennis the Menace.
Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson.
And like this kid is just bothering you. You're like, go home, kid. And he keeps running on your lawn
Mr.
and
Wilson.
like just messing up everything.
That's a cranky old man. I'm not a cranky
I
old
know,
man.
but like if
I may be an old man, but I'm not cranky.
yeah, but if there was a kid that was like, you know, just there all the time, and
Really?
it's not your kid. It's the
I hope
neighbor's
not.
kid. It's the neighbor's kid.
Yeah,
He's just
okay.
messing with you.
Exactly. That's funny. But it's supposed to be a cartoon character.
That was a cartoon at one
I guess
point.
so, but at one point it was really a TV show.
Yeah.
Someone said Fred Flintstone.
Ah, this is Captain Caveman right here. This is Captain Caveman over here.
Captain Caveman.
Eddie Ojeda, Shrek.
Shrek. Shrek. That's a good one. Yeah, I've heard that.
That's a good one.
Thank you, Eddie, but I've heard that one before, too. That's great. From you, also.
Oh my God, this is
Shrek.
fun.
That's
All right, which was the TMNT with the blue?
Who- Somebody said Magilla Gorilla?
Oh, Rocksteady?
No, the with the blue band around his eyes.
Leonardo.
Thank you. That's who I would think.
One of the...
One of the Mutant Ninja
He wants
Turtles.
to make you a Ninja Turtle.
I'm not a Ninja
You
Turtle.
can be a
I
Ninja
wouldn't
Turtle.
see you as a Ninja Turtle.
I mean, why wouldn't you see him as Leonardo?
No, not Leonardo. More of the Casey Jones than the Leonardo. Casey Jones at least had the hockey mask, and he was like tough.
No, but Leonardo's like, he's tough, but he's also calculated.
Calculated?
Yeah, you're calculated.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't carry a calculator.
I mean, you do, it's in your pocket right now.
I
I don't
love
have a pocket protector. I got a pocket.
He's got a TI-83 in his back pocket. What are you talking about?
I don't know if the audience knows this, but you have like 3 different generations here. So it's like he represents the baby boomers. I represent the quote unquote I guess
Gen X.
Gen X / millennial. You are the Generation Z.
I'm on the border of millennial and Gen Z.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
literally, depending on the year you say.
I think Steven's on the border of test tube.
Mark's giving away all my secrets on the
Are you sure
air.
he's yours? Really?
I was actually found in the gutter. That it was just like, I was
No,
just
you
like,
were definitely not a gutter.
no, it was used up.
Test tube bit.
Just used
It
up
was
like
experimentation
used
going
up DNA,
on.
just
He
chilling in the
never saw
gutter.
the Lost
It scooped
Boys.
it up and put it into
There
a
was
petri dish.
experimentation going on.
There was like
in the test
like
tube.
there was like a banana peel in there and everything. And they put it into a petri dish and then out came
Your
me.
other one is believable. I don't know if that's believable.
He's never seen Lion King.
You were there for that, right?
How does this happen?
All right, how do you feel about
He's
Disney? Do
never
you think
seen-
Disney's as amazing as
You've
everyone
never
says?
seen The Lion
He's
King?
never seen the Lion King.
Am I wrong? Is Disney not? All right, I get why people like Disney, but it was never like that big of me.
No,
like, I mean,
you don't
as a
like
kid.
puppies, rainbows, anything
What are you
that's
talking
good.
about? I had a dog.
Wait a second. Right. You'll appreciate this. Everybody in the camera thinks I'm talking to them, but I'm looking past the camera. This is not a normal child.
I'm not human. Have you heard the noises that I can make?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
we've heard the
the
noises
noises you can make.
The noise.
No, I'm good.
No.
No, I'm good.
It's too late for that.
Never saw the Lion King, and he doesn't like Disney movies. I
not
don't
that-
understand.
All right, Nigel, there seems to be a discrepancy here. It's not that I don't like Disney movies. They're just not my first choice to watch.
It's
Like, I can watch-
nobody's first choice, but everybody has
I know a
that
lot of people whose
nostalgic-
first choice it is.
But it has that nostalgic factor,
Like-
regardless of whether
That
it's.
coming from a person, a young man.
So you admit that
who
I'm
can
human.
that can make noises that The Exorcist wished they had in the movie. That's a tough one, all right?
If you actually
'Cause
watch-
they have no idea. The people who directed and produced The Exorcist needed him to do some of those sound effects.
If you watched our episode of the Jump Cut right on before this, I was talking about how what takes me out of the experience is I watch a lot of horror movies and I can hear the sounds they make, right? And I don't know exactly how they made it and what effects they put onto it, and it takes me
Right,
out of the
of course.
experience.
Of course.
I'm like, if I can make that sound without effects, then you need to get someone who can do that.
Exactly.
That's why there's some
I
pea
mean,
soup
your
right
calling
over
is
there.
You will be making horror movies. You will be on the soundtrack for horror movies.
I know.
And Cookie Monster music.
When we did the D&D
He
episode,
wants the music.
when we did the D&D episode for Tales today, if you were watching, you can hear me in the background make the sounds for all the creatures in the session.
He said you're my number. Jim Henson is your father.
That's good.
Oh my God.
That is good. Yes. Yes, you should have been on the soundtrack for The Exorcist.
That's funny.
Jesus.
There's pea soup right over there if you need.
Geez, soup. Are you going to urinate in my soup, man?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, so what else we got?
Looks like we're running low on questions, and we are about an hour in. Do you want to keep going, or
We got to get going soon.
okay?
Yeah.
So, what do you think? What's a question that people never really seem to ask you that you find interested in answering? Like, for example,
what would
what's
they-
going on in your life right now with Animal Tactics, with everything going
Well,
on in
of
the
course, we have the
background?
network here that's starting to explode. We're developing more shows. The three of us have a show coming out.
Yeah.
soon. That's going to be very funny.
Name
and
is
very
pending.
unique.
This is why we're all here,
That's
guys.
right, actually, tonight. Animal Tactics, the band, and that's going to be spelled with a TIX at the end, will be out soon.
Yeah.
We'll be back working on that in the near future, very near future.
And
That'll
you
be
can
coming
see
out.
the Deck the Halls.
Yes, you can see Deck the Halls.
If you're a Christmas fanatic.
Yeah, if you like a Christmas song, and it kind of moves on along in the TS tradition of Christmas songs and Christmas videos.
I got to tell you though, I had a doctor who told me
Dr.
that
Vinny Gumbats?
Hey!
I had a doctor who told me, and this was a few years ago.
Dr. Vargas?
No, but a few years ago
He's
said to
actually
me.
my animal doctor,
She asked me what was
my
your.
veterinarian.
This doctor asked me what was my favorite. What is my favorite music genre? And I said, well, I like rock, I like jazz, that kind of stuff. And she's like, my favorite music genre is Christmas music. And I'm like, it's July. And then she's like, yeah, I listen to it all year round.
I'm scared of that person.
So, long story short, I have a new doctor.
Hey, you should.
So did she have the Twisted Christmas?
No, this is before. I don't.
Did
This
she
is before
have-
I met you.
Oh, okay.
This is before I knew you. This is
So
quite a
you
few
were
years ago.
still being developed in the test tube at the time.
Yeah, they actually had to deal with cellular mitosis and me just spinning me around, swashing it a boot.
And a centrifuge, right?
Yeah, the doctor's like, man, he doesn't have enough DNA. He just spits in the test tube to keep it going.
At least he rolls with it.
That's funny.
I don't know. I honestly thought for my entire life, I'm like, man, there's no way that I came out of some natural situation. I'm just too weird of a person.
You were there for it, though.
I was thinking.
Are you
No, she
sure
failed.
they
She
didn't
failed to show up.
You sure she didn't show up?
She failed to show up.
Are you sure
she
they
missed
didn't
the memo.
switch him?
I was like-
They did. Somehow the two test tubes got switched. Really?
You sure you didn't find him on a road in Candace?
Yeah.
Came out of a spaceship maybe. You're just waiting for him to learn his powers.
Like in the Superman movie when the spaceship crashes,
Yeah.
right? That's what came out.
That's what came out.
Yeah.
And he made that noise. That's how you know he's an alien. He made that
Just
noise.
the noise.
Do you want me to give the noise?
No, you don't have to
You
give
gotta
the
blow out the
noise.
compressors.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, you will. Just blow it out.
I'd have to go like lean out of
Yeah,
it
you really have to go in the next room.
And I don't think
Yeah.
your powers are developed to do that.
to blow out the compressors.
No, to fix it.
No, to fix it.
Oh Lord. So what about regarding bassists, I guess, who do you think is some of the most underrated bassists that you follow nowadays? Because I know one of your favorite bassists is Billy Sheehan, who's incredible,
Phenomenal.
but he's
Great guy,
decently well known. There's like other bassists that I've shown you that you seem to respect, like Dan Briggs of Between the Buried and Me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But who's a bassist I feel doesn't get a lot of recognition that deserves it?
What, Russell? My friend Russell? Actually, Russell gets a lot of recognition. He's out with Dee Snider.
We got to keep it, I guess, like keep the bias out of it. Not someone that you're like, I guess, directly friends with, but someone that
Okay.
you follow as like a fan.
Okay, I'm not friends with him, Russell.
Okay.
There you go.
Actually, I am friends with him. No, let's no. We'll move on. to
Hopefully
something
Russell's
else.
not
You know,
watching.
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think who is amazing. Actually, I don't know. I've heard so much, and some of the bands that I listen to, more modern rock bands. I don't even know the names of the members.
No.
I can't say.
So I guess a bassist from band X or band Y, if you can do that, I guess as close as you can get. Because there's a lot of bands I never knew the members of. So
I don't know these
So
bands
many-
either.
So much. Some good friends of mine always show me some new bands and new music, and
Yeah.
and I don't even have the CD, which I should always get, which I usually try to get. They just give me a copy of the album on a CD or something, and I list the stuff in. I couldn't even tell you the names of some of them. I really do. It's a great question, and I will have answers for you the next time we do this.
Okay.
Which probably won't be for another 10 years.
it'll be quite a bit.
Yeah, but we'll take up on that. I can't answer that one now. I mean, I have favorite bass players, and it's all different genres of music. With, like I said, I mentioned it before: Stanley Clarke, Stu Haim, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Flea's pretty good.
I think he's amazing. Of course, Billy Sheehan. Steve Harris, Iron Maiden, Geezer Butler. Geezer Butler is so underrated. He's an amazing bass player, and still obviously alive and playing. From a lot of my heroes.
Yeah.
But one of my all-time favorites, and I got to say it again, is James Jamerson.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Superstition.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. I'll. Is there any more questions?
No, go for a
'Cause
question. Because
this is my last
All right,
question.
this is it. Let's write
This is
it
the
down.
last
What is
one.
it?
You ready for this one? All right. So, if you were on Gilligan's Island and you're the skipper, who else would you like to be stranded on there with? You're the skipper. You need a Gilligan, a Marianne, the professor and his wife.
I'll take Marianne and Ginger. Why would I want Gilligan or anybody else? Thurston Howell III. Yeah. I would take Marianne and Ginger.
Who would you cast as Marianne?
Oh, people? The
Yeah,
cast?
people. Yeah. Who would you
Let's
like?
see. I would take.
You're the skipper now.
I'm skipper,
Yeah.
but well, that's interesting. I would take as Marianne. I would Stephen. Stephen's not Marianne. Look at the look on his face. It's your mom over there saying this stuff.
She called you a girl.
Yeah. Really. Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. I
It's
don't
okay.
get it. I don't get it.
So
I'm holding back noises that
I know.
should not be made in this office.
I would take as Marianne. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Dark-haired. You know what? Name escapes me. Name the
What were
three
they in?
original Charlie's Angels.
Farrah Fawcett.
No,
Jacqueline Smith.
that's it.
There you
That would be in her heyday. I would pick her as Marianne.
Jacqueline Smith.
Jacqueline
okay.
Smith.
And then Ginger.
Ginger. I would pick.
Well, you got two gingers over there.
Hey.
Two. Two is better than one.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, as Ginger, okay, I would pick. Raquel Welch.
I knew it. I knew you
you
were going to
didn't.
pick
You didn't
her.
have that written
I
down
had that
anywhere.
in my
I
head.
would pick
I
Raquel
was
Welch.
like, he's
And,
picking Raquel Welch.
I mean, again,
You want to know why I
Amazing
thought that?
minute.
Because number one, I think that's all guys your age. That's your go-to. Number one. Number two, she's a redhead. You already said Jacqueline Smith as Marianne.
Right, dark
So
hair.
you would have to go with Raquel Welch.
is that so bad?
It's not bad. She's actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even at her age, she still like
Well, I
has
would
it.
pick them in their heyday.
I know you heyday,
Yeah,
but like
heyday.
even now, she's like the original MILF.
I dated.
She is.
I want you to know I dated both of them
Oh, okay.
at the same time.
All right. Well, we didn't have this on. We should have talked about this
No, I
story.
didn't. I didn't.
Oh, I was about to say because all this bass talk, we should have talked about that story.
Based off. No, I didn't. That's a lie. I don't want to have to go any further. It shows up in the National Enquirer tomorrow or TMZ.
This is like I guess a music industry related question.
It was just a fantasy. Oh, go ahead.
So I was reading this interesting article. So I'm sure you're familiar with Spotify and all the streaming services
course,
around right now.
of course.
So Spotify has this thing where you cannot monetize your music and make any money from the stream unless someone listens to at least 30 seconds into it, right? So if your music doesn't hook someone for the first 30 seconds at least, you won't get any money from the stream. So what a lot of people are arguing is that Spotify, that system alone, is currently greatly affecting how musicians create music and how they structure music because they want something to attach the listener and grab them instantly. Do you find this?
I don't think anything of the songs that I write or the bands that I deal with or even my own stuff that I have to write something that Spotify is going to recognize.
But do you find that music has evolved with a more punchy intro right off the bat, or more of a catchy chorus coming right out, or something like that to grab listeners' attention rather than having the build-up that songs usually and traditionally have?
Well, through time, some songs started out with the chorus. And that was like true with a lot of like songs like the Temptations wrote and sang. It started out with a chorus and then they went into a verse. I mean, you could change any one of the songs. Look at We're Not Gonna Take It. Started out with the chorus. I mean, it started out with drums.
And as you said with choruses first, I'm just hearing the cowbell playing.
Right. But it started out with a chorus.
Right. Also, there was a time where like songs were shortened. songs were longer at a certain point, and
Sure.
then
I used to think
before radio they had to make them at least 3. Like they had to be 3 minutes was the maximum.
I used to think that 6 minutes was average.
In the music industry, and this is a whole other show to get into, bigger problem in the music industry than trying to deal with something like that on Spotify. The fact that we don't have the radio stations that care about anything new.
Right.
Yeah. To be fair, it's like it kind of sucks for a lot of up and coming artists. I hear a lot of stations playing the same 60 songs all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like, and I noticed that even on Sirius when they do that kind of things, like on specific stations, obviously not every station, but I noticed some stations they do it. There's a lot of stations that have great new music, like Liquid Metal and Octane, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I noticed that like if you aren't bringing in new music, then you have the crowd coming out saying that, oh, 90s music was the greatest decade or stuff like that, when people aren't going out and look at artists that are huge and current, like that people that exist and have like great music coming out.
There's listen, I've heard plenty of newer rock bands that nobody discovers or really hears about because there's no real outlet for this stuff, and that's more of a complaint of mine than something like Spotify. Trying to figure out that the people that listen to it or Spotify itself depends on the first 30 seconds of a song.
Well, a lot of people also depend on, because based on that, a lot of people depend on Spotify to be featured in playlists to get recognized.
It can be. I mean, it's certainly an outlet.
A lot of the industry nowadays is like really working and riding the algorithm.
Hit songs have been formulas since the beginning of recorded time. It really has been. So is it so wrong to say there's an algorithm to follow? There was an algorithm to follow when it was 50s songs. Look, just about every 50s song was based on a 1-4-5 progression. I mean, there was dozens and dozens of hit songs based on, starting in A and going to the D and then going to the E and then back to the A. I mean, a 1-4-5 progression. So that was a formula, but there was all kinds of formulas. There was coming up through the genre of music, like when TS was coming up, and before that, we had bands like Journey and Foreigner who wrote corporate rock.
Right.
Allegedly, they followed a certain formula to write hit songs. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Well, you also
cold
mentioned
as
like
ice.
you can keep your integrity and your style while appealing to what you call the cream cheese, which is the general audience.
Yeah, exactly. General audiences. But so is that just keeping up with modern times, following that there's an algorithm, and and where do you say, okay, that's enough, and I got to write a song that I believe in, as a great song or a hit song?
We shouldn't stop believing.
No.
Nigel's just a city boy living in that South Detroit.
That was too easy. Okay there, Professor Klum.
Oh, fabulous.
So, what do you think, Mark? You want to take another question or you want to wrap it
All
up?
right, one more question and we're going to
One more question.
call it a night.
All right, so I'll give you a few choices, okay?
Oh, boy.
So we have one saying, not including Nigel,
Okay.
what's your favorite comic book? Another question is, what's your favorite experience with Eddie Ojeda? and your third question
All right.
is, what is the real story about how you received the name The Animal?
Oh, that I can say.
You want to do that one?
I could do all three of them.
Want to do all three of them?
What's favorite comic book? That's a rough one, man.
Comedian?
What's that?
Oh, favorite. It says favorite comic.
Oh, comic. I thought you said
Yeah.
comic book. Oh, you mean stand-up comic?
I guess.
Oh, that's what you meant, minus me.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a comedian.
Nigel is definitely one of my.
I thought I meant minus Nigel, I guess, because we review comic books.
To me, I've got tops, and I can't say that there's any one that, as far as a comic, there's guys that stand out. I mean, Eddie Murphy's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
His specials were incredible. The Andrew Dice Clay special back in '86, the HBO special, friggin' amazing.
White Jacket.
Richard Pryor stuff, mind-boggling. Guy was brilliant. I saw Red Fox a number of times back in the 70s and 80s in Vegas. Killer, absolutely killer. Billy Mira is not one of my favorites.
Sorry, Billy. He'll be at Governor's this week.
Yes,
he'll be at Governor's. Yeah.
Go see him at Governor's. It's worth going to see. I like busting on him though. Comics, I love comedy. Nigel. I have to include him.
Hey, what's happening?
Not that he's just sitting here on the show with me.
Thank you.
Very funny, great delivery.
He's hard as hell to keep up with on the jump cut.
He is.
Oh,
He's a
man.
tough guy to keep up with.
Thank you, guys.
So I wasn't sure if you said comic books or comics.
He met
guess I'm-
comedians.
I guess I misread it. I don't know. It just says comic, so it could have gone
Could be
either way.
Sunday comics.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, do you want
Next question.
So we have the two others. We have the funniest experience with Eddie Ojeda, or how you received the name of the animal.
Okay, the animal is easiest. I was in high school. I think I was in 11th grade. God, so long ago. And I was talking about a girl named Donna.
Donna.
That it was in another school, and Donna, that I knew, was walking past, and I didn't see her, and she slapped me across the face to call me an animal. She thought I was talking about her, and I wasn't. I didn't realize that she was there. That's how I got the animal. You animals, crack!
Jesus.
Yeah,
Okay.
slapped me. I didn't even see it coming.
I thought it was like a more layered answer.
No, that's funny, yo.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's how it happened.
Wow,
Hey.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so do you want to call it off? You want to wrap it up?
Eddie Ojeda?
Yeah, the last
Eddie
experience-
Ojeda, the
last
last one.
question.
We'll close that
I
out.
got to be careful with this one.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure.
What was the question
Limitations.
exactly about Eddie?
Yeah.
What was it?
It says, what's your favorite experience with Eddie Ojeda?
Favorite
Or funniest experience, I think it said.
Eddie Ojeda.
Yeah,
We were
funniest
talking about
experience.
comics, stand-up comedians.
Yeah.
Eddie Ojeda is one of the funniest guys ever out of everybody.
He's a member of the dog pile.
He's a member of the dog pile. He has a delivery that is absolutely, it's probably the funniest guy in Twisted Sister. He's he's brilliant, his delivery is incredible. There are so many stories about him being funny, about just about everything. There's things that I can't talk about in public that went on as funny stuff. The funniest thing about Eddie is hundreds, thousands, if not thousands, with Eddie being funny.
I'm sure you discussed a couple of them on his episode.
Yeah. All right. So you have to know Eddie. You really have to know Eddie to understand how his delivery goes.
Like, he makes some incredible hot sauce.
He makes great hot sauce and coffee.
Yeah, and coffee. I haven't had the coffee yet, so
Yeah, coffee's great.
I'm sure based on the hot sauce experience, the coffee's
Eddie's
good.
hot sauce. Look up Eddie Ojeda's hot sauce.
Mix the hot sauce with the coffee and you got a
buy
good old
some
one, too.
'cause It's worth it. It is great stuff. His twisted dark roasted, right? Yeah, it's great coffee. It really is great coffee. And his hot sauce, the every type is very different in heat and everything, and there's different reasons to use each one. So you're welcome, Eddie. We're pushing your product. In any case, a short story, really short one. I would follow Eddie or bother him to provoke a response from him. Often would do that. And I'm getting a message here about the hot sauce.
All right, let me just get up.
Yeah, we'll cover this in a minute.
Well, our producer over here is trying to shimmy over hot sauce on a chair.
It's okay.
Eddie Ojeda's twisted hot sauce.
Ugh.
Okay, you gotta.
Could you just hand it?
What's
I
that?
mean, we know you exist.
That's not Eddie's.
No, it's not.
Just Tabasco.
Or do you
a
want?
little tiny
They're not
bottle.
They're not sponsoring us. We're not endorsed by them.
Eddie Ojeda's twisted hot sauce. You gotta look it up on the internet. Go find it, and also go find his coffee, which is twisted, dark roasted, twisted, right? Or twisted dark roasted. Right? Look it up. Get some. It's great. I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with stuff. Anyway. I would follow or say something or do something to Eddie. Once in a while, I'd piss him off because it was a bit much.
Sure.
But when
I don't think you've ever pissed anyone off in your life.
I
Come
never
on.
pissed off anybody. But there was one time we were traveling across Europe and we were transferring flights, and I believe we were in the airport in either Madrid or Stockholm, where we had to spend a couple of hours between flights.
Hey, Rob Rush, thanks for tuning in.
And I was
Rob Rush.
thanks, Rob.
Rob.
And I was following Eddie. Now, Eddie, he wears nice clothing. He really does. I mean, Eddie puts on nice shirts, nice slacks, nice shoes. He dresses up nice. Me, I got a black T-shirt on. It either is plain, or it says Harley Davidson, or it says Mac Tools, or something guy stuff, or a metal band
Right.
or something. Eddie usually wears a really
I don't think
nice
I've ever
suit.
seen you wear a band tee.
You never?
Yeah.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah.
I do. So I'm following Eddie, and I'm bothering. I'm bored. And it's the first thing is I'm following behind him. I'm walking right behind him, and he goes, "You must be bored." So yeah, I'm bored, and so I'm looking for some amusement by bothering Eddie. So he walks into this really nice store, shirts. I mean, silk shirts, and it's the kind of stuff he wears. Nice clothing. So he's looking on the rack, and I'm standing. I'm like literally breathing on him, right? And he turns around and looks at me, gives me a dirty look. Like why are you bothering me? So I go, what are you looking for? He goes, a shirt. So he goes, well, why are you here? So I could say to bother you, but I said, I'm looking for a shirt too. He goes, you can't shop here. I go, why not? He goes, they don't make it in gorilla size. So, I mean, you have to be there. You have to hear Eddie's delivery and everything. That just makes it very, very funny. It really is. So
Awesome.
That's Eddie Ojeda.
Well, thanks everyone for the questions.
Twisted hot sauce, twisted dark roasted coffee. Look it up. Get some. Buy it. You can't go wrong. I'm telling you, I've seen people make all kinds of food with this hot sauce. I've seen it in actually he has an.
I've used it for eggs.
Hot sauce. You use it on eggs.
I use the cherry one. I made eggs with Monterey Jack or pepper jack cheese. And I mixed that with a little sriracha and Tabasco.
Right. And what was the one you put in the apple?
That was applesauce cake.
Applesauce cake.
We made applesauce cake with it.
That was amazing. It was incredible.
And
Yeah.
what's your favorite dish?
We also made it on
that
steak tacos.
Favorite dish to cook?
Cook? You mean in the kitchen making something?
Probably like me, just cooking me in the pan.
No, when were I in the kitchen?
He doesn't do kitchens, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, real quickly, I've been in my house for years. Can't remember the last time the stove was on. I really don't. The oven or the stove and the microwave, once a month, twice.
You
a month.
open the stove. There's like little children inside.
It's all storage. I got CDs and records stored in the oven.
Really?
And DVDs. Yeah, I don't
Wow.
use an oven.
That's some intuitive thoughts.
Yeah,
That's
I use it as
the
storage.
caveman, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a big open area. You use it as storage. Same thing with my dishwasher. I don't use a dishwasher. I don't have anything to wash. I don't. Paper plates, disposable stuff. You don't want it goes in the garbage. You don't have to clean anything up. Just take the paper tablecloth, right? The paper one, wrap everything up in it, tie it, and put it in a garbage pail. There's no, there's nothing to wash.
That's the way to go about it.
Only thing I use the sink for is to wash my hands.
I guess that's it for the questions.
That's it.
Anything you want to ask, or are we good?
No, you know what?
We're good.
We had another guest we were supposed to have on tonight, Guy from All Music. He couldn't make it tonight, hence the impromptu with my two compadres here, who are also going to star in another show, which we haven't officially named yet, but we are working on some stuff. And
we have a bunch of shows coming out.
Be a lot of we're working on a bunch of stuff. But we'll have Guy from All Music on in the next month or so when we reschedule with him. And I got to thank Stephen and Nigel for coming on last minute with me.
Thank you.
And turning
You're
it into
welcome.
a great show.
Yeah.
And I appreciate everybody tuning in.
I'm honored.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm honored
Thank you
too.
guys for your
Also,
questions.
Thanks for the questions. Thanks for tuning in. My cousin Gary Tosh, I appreciate it. My veterinarian, Dr. Vargas, who's really an MD, but for me, he's a veterinarian.
Eddie Ojeda.
Eddie Ojeda. We love Eddie Ojeda. And Clara. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we have to say goodnight. We're getting the producers telling us we got to go.
Yeah, but support the Patreon.
Oh, absolutely.
Patreon.com/Area22.
Yeah, like us on Area 22 on Facebook.
Subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Area 22 Productions.
And do everything we tell you to do.
Follow us on Twitch.
And YouTube.
Yeah, we already said YouTube.
Okay, well,
No,
thanks.
but
Say it again.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to say goodnight, guys. Wave goodnight. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.